You guys picture this. French suburban street in Oakwood Estates, California. White picket fences, manicured lawns so green they look photoshopped, kids riding bikes without a care in the world. The kind of place where everyone waves at each other and pretends life is a Hallmark movie. But behind those smiling faces, a ruthless dictator in pastel-colored power suits and a clipboard that might as well be a loaded weapon. Her name? Karen Thompson. HOA president. They convinced God personally appointed her to police every blade of grass in a 5-mile radius. And me? I'm Rachel Hayes, 34, CEO of Northlight Creative Studios. I built a multi-million-dollar empire for my home office right here in Oakwood Estates. I thought buying this house would be my happy ending after years of grinding in the city. Quiet streets, good schools, maybe finally start that family I always wanted with my husband Ryan. Boy, was I wrong. It started like any other Tuesday. I just flown back from a pitch meeting in San Francisco, my head still spinning with shot lists and budget revisions for our latest psychological thriller project. The elevator, no wait, in suburbia it's the garage door humming open, felt like my decompression chamber. I pulled into the driveway, killed the engine, and stepped out into that perfect California evening light. The air smelled like fresh-cut grass and someone's barbecue. Normal. Until my neighbor, sweet old Mrs. Evelyn Hargrove from next door, shuffled out onto her porch in her cardigan and fixed me with those sharp bird-like eyes. "Rachel, dear," she said, voice low and matter-of-fact like she was commenting on the weather. "Someone's been coming to your house every single day while you're gone." I froze halfway up the walkway, keys still in my hand. The words landed like a dropped weight on a perfectly swept concrete. I forced a laugh. Probably just the lawn service or a package guy. You know how it is. She took one deliberate step closer, silver hair gleaming in the late sun. "It's not the lawn service. Young man leaves around 3, lets himself in with the garage code. And he's affectionate with your husband at the doorway." My stomach did a slow, icy flip. Affectionate. That smell. "Evelyn, I appreciate the heads up, but I'm sure it's... I've seen them kissing." She cut in, flat as ever. "Twice this week." The world tilted. Suddenly felt like a stage set. I thanked her, somehow kept my CEO smile glued on, and walked inside like nothing was wrong. But the second the door clicked shut, the mask cracked. The house smelled like Ryan's favorite vanilla sandalwood candle. Soft jazz floated from the speakers. 2 glasses of Pinot Noir waited on the kitchen island, breathing, perfectly poured. Ryan appeared from the hallway in his gym clothes, hair artfully messy, flashing that audition-ready smile. "Hey, baby, how was the meeting? Did you crush it?" He pulled me into a hug that felt a little too tight, kissed my temple. I smelled only his usual citrus soap. No strange cologne, but Evelyn's words echoed louder than the jazz. I played along. Funding secured. I picked up the wine, swirling it, watching the dark red liquid catch the light. 2 glasses. Got home. Ryan chatted about his day, new coaching client, some big audition. But his eyes darted just a fraction when I casually asked if anyone stopped by. "Just Matt, my new voice coach," he said, looking into his glass instead of at me. "Urgent rehearsal, Matt." That night I lay awake staring at the ceiling fan while Ryan slept like a baby. The suspicion wasn't a whisper anymore. It was a living thing crawling through my perfect suburban house, sticking to the white marble counters, hiding in the perfectly folded towels. Every HOA violation notice Karen had slapped on my door the past month suddenly felt connected. The one for my 2 tall rose bushes. The one for the non-approved welcome mat. The one threatening a $500 fine because my trash cans were visible for 12 minutes past pickup time. Karen's signature at the bottom of every single one. Always in that perfect cursive like she was signing death warrants. I'm Rachel Hayes. For a living, I direct actors who lie for money. I knew a performance when I saw one. The next week, I became the perfect suburban wife on the outside. Approved every budget at the studio. Sat through color grading sessions nodding like everything was fine. Came home to Ryan's meticulously prepared salads and his new intense workshop stories. But inside, I was building my own movie. First move, the security logs. I messaged the HOA security manager, who I tipped generously at last year's holiday party, and requested the garage entry logs for my address. Privacy policy be damned. I was the homeowner. The spreadsheet arrived in my inbox 30 minutes later. Every day I was gone. 3 p.m. Using the emergency garage code only Ryan and I knew. Karen Thompson's nephew, Theo Quinn, had been walking into my house like he owned it. Theo, parasitic golden boy relative, I'd stupidly loaned 20 grand to 3 years ago for his revolutionary insurance tech startup. The company tanked. I wrote it off as a lesson in family loyalty. Now he was in my house. You guys, can you believe this level of audacity? I didn't confront. I did what any smart producer does. I gathered footage. Behind my leather-bound scripts in the home office safe were 3 tiny motion-activated cameras left over from our last thriller shoot. I placed them like a director setting up a sting. One in the living room hidden in a heavy architecture book aimed at the front door, one disguised as a USB plug by the kitchen island, and one, my stomach turned, tucked into the speaker grill facing our bed. For 3 agonizing days, the feed showed nothing but Ryan doing push-ups, reading lines to an empty room, making smoothies. I started doubting myself. Ripped? Had Evelyn missed scene? Was the HOA stress finally breaking me? Then Wednesday afternoon, sitting in a conference room negotiating distribution, my phone buzzed with a Northlight Secure app alert.
Oh my God,
Motion detected. I excused myself, locked myself in the executive bathroom, and opened the feed with shaking hands. Theo Quinn walked in wearing his black coat and baseball cap, punched in the garage code like it was his own, disarmed the alarm, and tossed his keys on my island. He looked straight toward the bedroom. Another alert. Ryan texted me 30 seconds later, "Workshop running long, babe. Don't wait up." I didn't go home. Best friend Sage Porter's office, LA's most feared entertainment lawyer. I played her the footage. My bedroom, her face hardening.
We have him now, Rachel.
Infidelity is messy, she said quietly. But this, using your own security code, that's premeditated breach. We're beyond divorce court. She hooked me up with Frank Halverson, the burnout PI who looked like a community college professor but operated like a ghost. I met him in a dive coffee shop in Burbank. I laid out everything, the neighbor, the logs, the cameras, the texts. Frank just sipped his black coffee and nodded. Boyfriend's usually the key, he said. Husband's just the doorman. He took my husband's schedule, car details, everything. I signed the retainer and transferred the money. Back home, I kept performing. Ryan kept performing. But now I had eyes everywhere. Frank's first report hit 3 days later. Encrypted link. Any real meeting, went to the gym, then met an unidentified male at the service entrance of our community clubhouse, the one only HOA board members and their families have access to. They proceeded to my house. The photo attachment showed Ryan looking over his shoulder in the alley behind our garage. The man in the black coat, back to camera, had that arrogant slouch I recognized instantly. Theo. They were inside for 2 hours. My hidden cameras caught them talking in the living room, then disappearing into the bedroom. I fast-forwarded through the footage with cold rage settling in my chest like ice. Week 2 report arrived while I was supposedly reviewing budgets. Ryan and Theo met at Juniper Slate, the upscale restaurant downtown that regular Oakwood residents could never afford. Frank had been at the bar for this time. Theo's cap was off, leaning in, conspiratorial. Not lovers.
They were working together. They're co-conspirators.
Then the audio file, not the conversation between ambient noise. Theo's smooth, entitled voice. The Northlight Trust is airtight, but the incapacitation clause, that's the vulnerability. If Rachel's deemed mentally or physically incapable, the secondary trustee takes full control. Ryan's lower, tense reply, and I'm the secondary trustee. Theo, but it has to happen before she signs that new philanthropic transfer. She's moving the bulk of her liquid assets into that foundation. Once she signs, your position is worthless. We move before the announcement. Ryan, how? Theo, we use the stage she's already set. That bottle of 1998 Bordeaux she's saving for special occasions. I have a friend. Compounds that mimic a catastrophic event, stroke, allergic reaction, won't show up on standard talk screens. I stopped the recording. The company I built from nothing, the house I paid for with my own blood and late nights, the life I thought was safe behind white picket fences, all of it reduced to a clause and a poison bottle of wine. My husband and Karen Thompson's greedy nephew were planning to murder me over dinner. And Karen, she was the perfect cover. While they plotted in my bedroom, she was outside slapping me with violation notices for non-conforming holiday lights and excessive vehicle parking. Every fine designed to drain my focus and my bank account. Classic HOA power trip wrapped in fake neighborly concern. You guys laugh or cry. I was doing both while smiling for the security cameras. I didn't panic. First, I secured my family. I lied to my parents about a surprise trip to Santa Barbara and had a car service whisk them away before Theo could dig up any leverage. Second, I called an emergency board meeting for Northlight and invoked the key person freeze clause. All beneficiary designations tied to me were locked down pending any criminal investigation. Ryan's secondary trustee status was now worthless. Third, I sat across from Detective Karras and Detective Chin in a discreet Los Feliz office and played them the audio. Their expressions changed from polite to laser-focused the second Theo started talking about the poison. This is conspiracy to commit murder, Karras said. But we need the attempt on record. We need them to serve the poison wine. That meant I had to go home in my death. Smile while Karen Thompson drove past my house every morning waving like we were best friends. Frank's surveillance continued, now coordinated with the LAPD. They bugged Theo's car. Contact named Rico Vale in a deserted Glendale lot and traded cash for a small dark box. The compound was real. Meanwhile, Karen's HOA harassment escalated into pure comedy. She cited me for my lawn being 0.2 inches too long. She sent a formal letter demanding I repaint my front door because the shade of soft dove gray was not on the approved palette, even though it had been for 3 years. She showed up at my door in her bright magenta suit, clipboard in hand, fake smile plastered on, and lectured me about community standards while her eyes scanned my living room like she was already measuring it for new curtains. Rachel, honey, she'd say in that syrupy voice. We just want what's best for everyone. Rules are rules. I wanted to laugh in her face. Compliance form, and added another page to my evidence folder. Every violation notice was now time-stamped proof of a coordinated campaign to stress me out and push me toward an accident. The trap was set for the Big Oakwood Estates Community Charity Announcement Barbecue. I told Ryan I was donating a huge chunk of liquid assets to a foundation that would fund local arts programs that just happened to bypass the HOA board entirely. Public. Impossible to ignore. Ryan's eyes lit up when I mentioned it. Theo started texting him nonstop. Karen suddenly became extra friendly, offering to personally oversee the event catering. They thought they were writing the final scene. I was directing it. The night of the barbecue, the backyard smelled like charcoal and betrayal. String lights twinkled. The cups. Karen Thompson held court in a loud floral dress that strained at the seams, laughing too loud and quoting scripture while her eyes kept flicking to the special bottle of 1998 Bordeaux Ryan had surprised me with earlier. I carried the portable toxin tester in my purse like a lipstick. The LAPD tactical team waited 2 blocks away. My lapel mic was live. Ryan poured the wine with shaking hands.
Stay here.
He tried the old tech detox line again, but I insisted we keep phones away. He looked relieved. Theo invited his Karen's helpful nephew, hovered nearby. When Ryan handed me the glass, the oily bubbles caught the light exactly as Frank had described. I raised it to my lips, and the tactical team exploded through the side gate like the final act of my own thriller. FBI, hands where we can see them. Ryan dropped the bottle. Motion, red wine spreading like blood across the stamped concrete. Theo tried to run and tripped over Karen's lawn gnome collection. Karen herself stood frozen, clipboard clutched to her chest, face the color of spoiled milk. The neighbor's jaws hit the ground. Someone's phone started recording. Perfect. Arrests were swift. The hidden cameras, the logs, the audio, the poison vial with Theo's DNA on the cork, the text, the financial trail showing my own loan money had bought the murder weapon. Karen tried to bluster in the back of the police car. This is a misunderstanding. I was just here to enforce community standards. The officer just laughed. Courtroom day. Karen Thompson sat at the defense table next to Ryan and Theo, still trying to look like the victim in her most expensive pastel suit. The judge wasn't buying it. Prosecutor Herrera laid out every exhibit like a highlight reel. The garage logs. The Juniper Slate audio where they literally planned my murder over appetizers. The Glendale handoff. Evelyn Hargrove took the stand in her Navy suit and pointed a steady finger straight at Theo and Karen. I saw that woman's nephew letting himself in. I saw him kissing Mr. Hayes. The courtroom gasped. Mask finally cracked. When the verdict came, guilty on all counts, the sentences landed like hammer blows. Ryan 12 years. Karen, as co-conspirator who supplied the access code and used her HOA position to facilitate the plot, 10 years plus permanent removal from any HOA board in the state. The key person reset clause triggered automatically. Ryan lost every claim to my company, my house, my future. Northlight was mine, finally free of its tyrant. In the final press conference at my studio, I stood at the podium under blazing lights and signed the termination papers live on camera. Northlight Studios belongs to people who build, I said, voice steady. Not to people who plot in the shadows of white picket fences. I held up the real foundation charter, the one they tried to stop. The one that would fund the next generation of storytellers. As the cameras flashed, I caught a glimpse of Evelyn in the back row. She gave me one slow, deliberate nod. The gatekeeper's job was done. Ryan and Theo were led past in orange jumpsuits, shackled and broken. Karen was already gone, her clipboard confiscated, her power evaporated. I walked out into the California sun. No more vanilla candles masking the rot. No more violation notices. Just the quiet satisfaction of a story that ended exactly the way it should. Sometimes the scariest monsters don't live in haunted houses. They live next door, wearing pastel suits and calling themselves community leaders. And sometimes the hero doesn't need a cape. She just needs a camera, a lawyer, and the guts to let the villains write their own ending then hit record. Thanks for listening, you guys. In the comments. If you've ever dealt with an out-of-control HOA Karen, I want to hear it. Hit like, subscribe, and remember, keep your cameras rolling. Because in the suburbs, the real drama is always just one garage code away. Stay safe out there.